Hi friends. So today we would discuss strategy for phase 1 RBI Grade B paper. Many of you were saying that phase 1 is really tough. Yes, it is because the competition is very high. Almost 22 lakh 50,000 people write this exam, out of which somewhere around 2500 are selected to write phase 2. So phase 1 is not that tough as far as content is concerned. If you see the content is generally okayish. There are few questions here and there which are tough, which are actually meant to be left in the paper, right? Apart from that, most of the paper is doable, right? So it's not about the content of the exam, it's about the the competition which makes it really tough. I don't know what I would add in this video, to be very honest, because most of you have been preparing for the aptitude based exams. Most of you have done your preparation for either a CSAT exam or SPIPU or IBPS or something like that. Most of you have also joined some kind of coachings, gone through some kind of uh, videos on YouTube, followed many channels. I don't know how many of you have followed that. How many channels have you followed and all that stuff. So I don't really know that what kind of input would I be able to put in this video. But nevertheless, what I've done is I have tried to analyze the last two papers, 2015 and 16, though they were both online. There was data available, right? So the data was available in form of analysis from various institutes. For example, CL has put in its analysis. Then there is Mockbank, which is put in its analysis. So I have used those analysis to understand what kind of questions were asked, what was the pattern like, and what can be done to actually ace this exam. So let's firstly see what were the cutoffs, right? So if you see, this is 2016 cutoffs from RBI website itself. So it's simple. The ballpark cutoffs in each section is 25%. So if you achieve 25% in each section, you would be able to clear the sectional cutoff. And the total cutoff depends on how other candidates are performing. In 2016, it was 98.50, pretty high. In 2015, the paper was slightly tough, so it was 88.50. So this would keep on changing from year to year. In one of the years, if I remember correctly, it was also 123. The cutoff was 123 out of 200, which means the paper was really easy. So what we are trying to understand is uh, find a strategy when the paper is moderate, somewhere of 2016 or 2015 quality, right? If it is very easy, then obviously you would understand that paper is very easy and you would perform likewise. So as you know, there are four sections: general awareness, reasoning, English, and quant. Let's go through each section one by one. So general awareness, 80 marks. It's 2016 analysis. It's banking awareness somewhere around 29 marks, current affairs 24 marks, and static GK 27 marks. So these 29 plus 24, which means this is how much? Uh, this is 60 something, right? 62, 63, right? So 53. So 53 marks worth of paper is from current affairs, right? Banking awareness was also from current affairs, what was happening, what was not happening, and all that stuff. And current affairs were basically various schemes. What are the various schemes happening? What are the latest happening in sports? For example, there was a question on Rio Olympics, that who was heading the Indian squad in Rio Olympics, and all that stuff. So basically, last 6 months GK, current affairs, would be more than sufficient to cover this. So you can use various sources uh, to cover this GK. We'll talk about the sources later. So historically, around 50 questions come from the current affair portions. Banking, political, in polity, they talk about various schemes. So if you look at the few websites which have collated questions from last year through memory only, because the question paper was not available, there were around 7 to 8 questions or even more about schemes, about government schemes, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Atal Vikas Yojana, and all that stuff. So that's really important. Then there were around 3 4 questions from budget and budgetary allocations, about payment banks, about latest happening in financial markets. So that was there. uh, Also there were questions on sports, so you for example the Rio Olympics one. Then there were questions on political happening, both national and international. Then there were static GK portion. They talked about books, general economic theories. They also had questions on capital of a country, currency of a country, and all that stuff, which is pretty general stuff. If you have done any of the preparations for any of the exams, basically your uh, banking or otherwise, you would know most of the static GK. So most of the current affairs are asked from past 6 months, and anyone can even read a TOI, right? TOI shall cover most of the basic questions, as most of them were factual. So you have to understand, unlike a UPSC where you have to read a Hindu or Indian Express, a TOI would be good enough here. So even if TOI is beneficial because it's easy to read and it covers mostly all the national facts and figures or international facts as figures as well. Apparently, we took an interview of Santosh Srinivas today, and he also followed TOI for past 2.5 years. He actually got a rank 5 in this year's RBI final result. So these are the few questions from the last year paper, right? They talked about SIDB headquarters. They talk about World Tourism Day, Indradhanush initiative for M&A. So this is based on current affairs. Yes Bank was in news last year. So where is the headquarter? One question from Yamuna. So it was also in news. Reverse repo rate, static GK, right? This is from economics, right? Static economics. So if you prepare for phase two simultaneously, you would be able to understand this question. Static GK again, uh, countries first. So this was in current affairs, right? So this was based out of current affairs, right? Last year it happened, so it was based out of current affairs. This is also slightly current, right? There would have been talk about this. Atal Innovation Mission again, scheme, currency of Bhutan static. The Hopman Cup is so this was current affair. Head of Land Acquisition Bill, current affair. Uh, Static GK, Committee of Farmer Doubling Income, a current affair again. Tihri Dam, Uttarakhand, current affair. So basically, all about current affairs, mostly about current affairs were asked. So this is how the question would go on. You can find this list in on the internet. Google last year's paper. You would find the list of the questions. You would see most of them would be around 70 to 80%, or rather 62%. Somewhere around 62% would be based on current affairs. The list goes on. I'll put in this PPT somewhere. I'll share this PPT with you. So don't worry. You can just look at the PPT to find these questions. Cutoff, as I mentioned, was 25%, which is equal to 20 marks. This is very critical section, right? Because it's make and break for most of you, and it's the most scoring section. Um, Around achievable marks can be 60. So somebody with very good GK, with very good grasps on current affairs and all that stuff can achieve 60. Will target 50 in our approach, and the time dedicated, right? So time devoted to this section in final exam should be around 20 minutes. It should not be more than 20 minutes. It should be 20 minutes. You would be able to, so this is like this, either you know a question or you don't know a question, right? So you don't have to spend too much time. Try to maximize your attempt here. Try to do around 80% questions in this section. Now this is what I'm talking about is generally a generalistic strategy. There is nothing fixed about it. If you think that you can do justice by performing only, let's say, 50 questions, then go for it. You don't have to follow this 80% strategy. It depends from person to person, right? If he is very confident that all the answers he's marking are correct, then even 50 to 55 attempts are more than enough, right? So don't earn negative marks just for the sake of attempting questions, right? If you are very confident about of your score, then you should attempt only correct answers. If you are not very confident, then you have to take chances in this one, because you cannot take chances in other three sections. So you have to take chances in this one. You can take chances in one of the another one section, which is English. We would talk about it at that point of time. So sources, newspaper, anyone will do. Even TUI is okay. So TUI, which is generally considered toilet paper by all the aspirants for UPSC and all that stuff, would do. Any magazine, right? So you can go for Yojana or anyone of your liking, it would do. Notes for banking awareness from your PO preparation, right? So these three would be more than enough. You don't require anything else. For static GK, most of the institutes would come up with a module, or you already must have covered it here and there, right? So static GK also uh, is related to somehow current affairs, right? So perhaps Thailand would be in talks with India, so they would ask about the currency of the Thailand and all that stuff. So just keep an eye on newspapers. You would be able to achieve around 50-55 score in this section. That's it. You need 55. You cannot go below 55 to actually crack this exam. So this is the most important section. Next, let's talk about this section, which is logical reasoning. So this is 2016 division of questions, 60 marks. So these were the various topics, subtopics. So arrangement, blood relation, course of action, statement and conclusion, symbol letter based coding, coding decoding, input output, syllogism, and inequalities. So I'll now try and mention few easy or low hanging fruits which you should do and which you should cover in your basics, and then I'll also mention some topics which can be ignored. So it's as per my understanding, I am including those so topics which can be ignored are those, according to me, where the propensity of doing a question wrong is very high, right? So, for example, in syllogism, I feel that you can end up in a wrong result very easily, right? So, even if you are pro at syllogism, there could be a wrong scope of wrong answer in syllogism. So, this is a risky topic. You can avoid such risky topics. Similarly, statement and conclusion is something which could be risky because you can you would definitely have an answer even if you are wrong, but then you are not very sure whether the answer is right or wrong, right? Similar thing goes for course of action. So these are risky topics. You may cover them if you are very confident of your practice and if you are very confident of what you have done. So these are the topics uh, which appeared for 2016. These are the topics which appeared for 2015. Again, input output, syllogism, coding decoding, critical reasoning is, I think they were talking about those conclusion based questions. Then there was data sufficiency. This is again risky. Data sufficiency is very risky because there are often quite a lot of chances of arriving at a wrong answer. Inequalities, they are interesting. If you can ace the topics, they can be done, but they are also risky. Data arrangement puzzles, linear circular arrangements, linear arrangements, and linear arrangement of two rows. So if you see, the arrangement problem are of 16 marks. Data arrangement problem is of 11 marks. So 16 plus 11 is 27 marks. So 27 marks of puzzles were there, which were not very tough. I have seen 2015 paper. So they were not very tough. So again, the low hanging fruits are these: coding, decoding, input, output, blood relationships. They are very sitter like questions, so you can do them. You have to actually hone your skills of doing arrangements, because arrangement comes every year, and a good number of questions come from arrangements. If you can actually look at few good videos from YouTube, even we have at our channel good videos on arrangement. We try to simplify the basics. So if you can actually look at few videos, arrangement can actually help you sail through the entire logical reasoning section. Then data arrangements, this is also doable, right? Data arrangement means, for example, you have a few words or something like that, you have to arrange data in a particular order or something like that. So these are something which are easy to do. Initially I thought that output questions are really tough, but once you understand the logic, there are around three or four kind of input output questions, so you have to understand only those kind of logics and you would be able to ace output questions very easily. So if you look at it, we are talking about 10 5 plus 5 10 20 20 28 marks of questions which are sitter, right, which are easy to do. Apart from that, you have to look at, so these questions, essentially an arrangement question, if it is a set of 5, would take you around 10 minutes. So two sets you have to do, which means it takes you 20 minutes. Data arrangement would take you 5 minutes, blood relationship would take you 5 minutes. So 20 plus 10, 30 minutes in this, and these two would take you 10 minutes. So essentially 40 minutes to get these 28 marks. Essentially, if you spend these 40 minutes, you can actually achieve all these 28 marks because you can be very confident of doing them correctly. We have actually left those topics where the propensity of mistakes are very high. So concentrate on these 28 marks or perhaps 5 more marks, and you can add 5 more minutes here, right? So 45 minutes plus 20, 28 to 33 marks. So that would be the strategy for this section. I think it's as per my understanding. You can differ here. Syllogism, critical reasoning, data sufficiencies, inequalities. These are some topics which are easy to ace, easy to understand, but then the propensity of making mistakes are pretty high. So why do one want to make mistakes and risk their chance of not getting selected? So I think they can be avoided. Cutoff again was 15, which is 25%. Achievable score is 30. We are targeting in our strategy 25. 25 plus we are targeting, and we are spending 45 minutes. So 45 minutes here, 20 minutes in the section, in the previous section, which was general knowledge. So around 65 minutes gone. So we are left with 55 minutes. Sources, I think in this case YouTube is the best source. You have to do YouTube. There are few articles on grade up which are really good, and few articles on bankers adda as well which are really good. I'll compile the list of good videos on YouTube and post it as a playlist on our YouTube channel, right? Coding decoding blood relationship, good old RS Agarwal would do, right? So I think uh, these would be the required sources for practice. Obviously mocks, right? You require lot of practice, so any mock would do. Any mocks would do. I would recommend that you should practice while covering the basics as well. So each chapter revision is also important. So chapter revision can be done either through online. There are many online resources for practice as well. I try and compile a list of those resources where there are slightly tougher questions. I think I know a few of them. I'll try and put them in a document and post them to you. So around 50. So we are talking about 28 plus 55 marks here, right? In around 65 minutes. So which means this is 87 marks, right? So 87 marks we are talking about here as of now. Now comes Quant, again Achilles heel for many of you. Please understand that we are not here to actually show our prowess in Quant, right? They are not checking your prowess. What they are checking is essentially how you actually manage your time, how good you are in making critical decisions under pressure situations, right? So this is a pressure situation. An exam is a pressure situation. So how good are you in choosing right things, right? So here there are data interpretation sets, there are data sufficiency sets. In 2016 we are talking about. Then there are series and pattern, and then mathematical questions. Let's look at 2015 again. Data interpretation sets for 10 marks, number series. So these three, which were in the previous, which was in 2016 as well, are the most critical aspects of this section. If you just concentrate on these three and maybe devote around somewhere around 30 minutes, you would be able to achieve 15 marks in this, right? And mind and I can guarantee that if you can actually devote 30 minutes, you would be able to achieve these 15 marks, and you can be very confident of getting them all right. So just try and understand, try and do the practice. I think there are not many resources as such. You have to do the practices. There are good YouTube videos. I'll try and again compile the list of YouTube videos. These are the mathematical portions. Let's see what are the sitters here. Di sets, as I said, are the sitters. You have to do di sets. Number series here is a sitter, but then don't get stuck at one number series. In number series sometimes it happens that you are unable to find the logic, so in that case just leave the number series. So 10 marks here, around 3 4 marks here, and around 3 4 marks here, so you can achieve 16 15 to 16 marks in 30 minutes, right? So we have already achieved 87 marks. Let's say we achieve here 12 marks, right? Because we are not very good in mathematics, so we achieve here 12 marks, which means we have now 99 marks, and we are left with almost 25 minutes, which is for our last section, which is English. Now, mind you, this is not how you should do the exam. You should, according to me, and if I were you, I would have done that exam in this way. I would have spent 20 minutes, first 20 minutes in GK, next 20 to 25 minutes in English, right? So that I am now confident of spending rest time in reasoning and quant. And out of after this 40 minutes are over, or 45 minutes are over, I would spend around 80 minutes between quant and uh, reasoning, right? 80 to 80 75 to 80 minutes, right, in between quant and reasoning, in whatever order required. Topics which can be avoided are mensuration. I think we haven't covered topics which can be done in mathematics. So in mathematics, you can leave algebra altogether. I don't think you need to do algebra. You need to concentrate on arithmetic. In arithmetic, you can do percentages, profit and loss, right? Then you can do time and work and time, speed, distance. Mind you, when you do time and work, you would also do pipes and systems. And in time, speed, and distance, you would also do clocks. So if you do these four topics, you can achieve 3 4 marks. I think rest you don't require. Algebra you can leave altogether. Algebra is slightly complicated for quite a lot of you, so you can leave altogether. uh, Mensuration, geometry, trigonometry, they don't ask, or if they ask, they are just 1 marks, or each of them is for 1 mark, so you can leave them. Algebra, though there could be 2 or 3 questions, still I would suggest you leave it. But if you are very confident about algebra, you can still go ahead and do it. Again, 25% is the cutoff. Achievable is 15. We would target somewhere around 12. Already mentioned that. YouTube videos, again, no need to do cat books. I think most toppers are also talking about cat books. Cat material is way uh, beyond the scope of this exam. So don't do cat books. Clear your fundamentals and then practice. Don't go about shortcuts, right? Don't work for shortcuts, because we why do we need shortcuts? Because we are trying to do each and every question. Here we don't want to do each and every question. Here our aim is just to clear the total cutoff. The total cutoff could be clear, and also the sectional cutoff, right? So we don't need to go for shortcuts without clearing our basics, because what happens that in this pressing situation you forget the formulas, or you mix the formulas, and then you do the wrong things. So don't go for formulas, go for basics. That's the trick. Finally, I think English is pretty easy. Verbal or English reasoning is pretty easy. 10 marks for RC, 5 marks for sentence correction, 5 marks for fill in the blank, 7 marks for close test, and 3 for parajumbles. uh, so close test or fill ups are almost the same, right? Again, RC, parajumbles, close, error spotting. This was 2015. Phillips and RC, which is somewhere around 20 to 22 marks, are the low hanging fruits. RC in this case is pretty easy, right? RC is not as tough as it happens in CAT. RC is very much easy. So are the Phillips, right? So you can go about it. I feel that parajumbles are also very easy in this one because you are given just one parajumble, and then all the five questions are based on that parajumble. So if you spend around 5 minutes or 8 minutes on that parajumble, you can do it. You can get those 5 marks. So here we are left with 25 minutes, right? So if you do RC in 12 minutes, you still and do fill-ups in 8 minutes, right? You still are left with 5 minutes. I have mentioned that parajumbles can be avoided because propensity of error can be very high if you are not devoting right time or if your fundamentals are not clear. But if your fundamentals are clear and your propensity and you devote around 5 to 8 minutes on this, you would be able to achieve 5 marks. I think English is quite scoring. You can score 20 plus in it. Achievable is 20. We'll target around 15, right? So 7.5 is the cutoff, 20 and 15. So now what we are talking about? We are talking about 50 to 55 in GA, 20 to 27 in reasoning, 10 to 12 in quant, and 15 to 18 in V. I would say rather 20. So on the whole, we are talking about 100 to 120, not 110. 100 to 120 here. In case the exam is of average difficulty, if it is easy, then obviously you would understand that it is easy. You can achieve. You can target 130. Right. Bear in mind that you don't need to perform all the questions. You can leave few sets, right? You can leave few sets in reasoning altogether. You don't need to touch each and every set. Don't confuse yourself. Don't confuse yourself by trying each and everything. Just concentrate on one or two sets in reasoning. You would be able to get through it. uh, I think this is more of a gyan, to be very honest. Each person would have his own strategy. I don't know how much value have I been able to add here, but if you think that it is valuable, so please share it with your friends. And if you have any other comment to make, please drop a comment on the comment box. So what is the phase one all about? It's about managing your time. That's it, right? You just need to get 100 marks for which you have to attempt 140 questions, right? So your questions would be 140 because I assume that you attempt 80 to 90% in GK. Attempts in reasoning, English, and quant should be in the range of 50 to 60%. Don't do the entire stuff in these sections. So in English, you still can go up to 70, 80%, but in reasoning and quant, restrain yourself to around 60%. You don't need to do 100%. That's not required. It would bring in the negative marks and you would anyways get confused and anyway lose your calm during the paper. So there is a, since most of you are asking for phase one, I think we can make a course for phase one if people are interested. If you are interested, then just leave a comment that you want a course for phase one. We'll cover important sections of quant and DI in that. We'll try and include English as well. For GK and current affair, I think our course for phase two, in which we are including current affairs as well, would be more than sufficient. If you also keep on reading the newspapers, right? GK is such thing that you need to inculcate yourself by reading newspapers and magazines. So that's it from my side. Thanks for watching this video. All the best, and we'll bring you more detailed video of strategy of phase 2 very soon. Thanks and all the best again.